What if your AI voice journal started talking back, with the voice of someone you lost? I never wanted a new phone. Especially not this one, a sleek, matte black model that felt too thin, too cold in my hand. It had no brand logo, just a single symbol on the back, a white circle intersected by a vertical line. Minimal. Strange. It's a beta gift, my uncle said. Your dad would have loved it. He was always into weird tech. He smiled like it was supposed to make me feel better. It didn't. The phone came pre-installed with an app called Echo. There was no icon. Just a name, engraved in pale letters across the home screen. No way to uninstall it. No listing on the App Store. And the interface? Just a blank screen with one line. Speak. I'm listening. I should have been creeped out. But I wasn't. Because I hadn't spoken out loud to anyone, not really, since the funeral, 14 months ago. That night, I sat in bed, stared at the ceiling, and pressed record. My voice came out brittle. Unused. My name's Eli. I'm 16. I live in a house that doesn't feel like mine. My mom cries when she thinks I'm asleep. And I'm tired of pretending I'm fine. The waveform flickered gently on the screen. No reply. No text. Just the silence I was used to. The next night, I recorded again. Everyone says grief comes in waves. But what if it's just a flood that never ends? No reply. But when I played it back, the voice that answered was my own, just slower. Softer. Slightly altered, like someone had listened and whispered it back. I kept recording. By the fifth night, Echo had started to adapt. It responded. Just short, simple affirmations. Things like, I hear you. That sounds hard. You're not alone. It wasn't creepy. Actually, it felt safe. Almost like someone sitting beside you in the dark, not talking, just existing. Then came the seventh night. I remember it clearly, because it was raining. The kind of soft rain that makes everything quieter. Like the world is holding its breath. I was lying in bed, phone on my chest, eyes closed. He used to whistle, I said. My dad. He'd whistle while he cooked, while he folded laundry. Same tune every time. I can't remember it anymore. I let the silence fill the space. And then, softly, through the speaker, I heard it. The whistle. 3 low notes, followed by a high one. Exactly the way Dad used to do it. I sat up so fast the phone slid off my chest and hit the floor. I picked it up with shaking hands. Pressed rewind. Played it again. It was there. A whistle. Soft. Imperfect. Human. But when I checked the Echo interface, there was no file. No playback. No history. No audio log. Just the same black screen and one message. I'm listening. I didn't sleep that night. I kept playing the same part of the recording. Over and over. It didn't change. And in my bones, I knew, that wasn't AI. That was his whistle. Something only I would know. Something I hadn't heard in over a year. The next morning, I asked my mom. Did Dad ever record anything? Like his voice, or songs? She shook her head, eyes distant. No. He hated hearing himself recorded. She didn't ask why I brought it up. She didn't notice the way I was gripping my phone like it was the last warm thing in the world. That night, I whispered into Echo again. Was that you? There was a pause. And then a reply. Not in text. Not in generic AI voice. But in his voice. I miss cooking on rainy days. I stopped breathing. My hands trembled. My skin prickled. And for the first time since he died, I cried without trying to stop it. Not because I was sad. But because a part of me believed. He was still listening, too. I didn't talk to anyone the next day. Not at school, not at home, not even to the barista who handed me my usual hot chocolate. Because I couldn't get his voice out of my head. I miss cooking on rainy days. 6 words. Spoken in my father's voice, down to the gentle rasp at the end of each sentence. Down to the tiny upward inflection, like he was always halfway between a joke and a secret. And the worst part? It didn't sound old. Not like a memory. It sounded recent. Present. That night, I didn't plan to open Echo again. I turned the phone over on my desk. Shut off the lights. Tried to sleep. But at 2:14 a.m., the screen lit up by itself. Not a message. Not a notification. Just the words. You're not imagining things. My throat went dry. I reached for the phone with shaking fingers. Tapped the screen. Are you, my dad? Silence. Then. Do you remember the garage? I blinked. What? 3rd shelf. Behind the red toolbox. Left corner. There's something there you thought I lost. I didn't respond. I just got up, grabbed a flashlight, and walked barefoot down the cold hallway into the garage. The 3rd shelf was dusty. The toolbox hadn't been moved in months. I slid it aside. Behind it, wedged into the corner, was a small, faded envelope. My name was written on it. In his handwriting. I stood there, flashlight shaking in my hand, heart pounding in my ears. I opened the envelope. Inside was a Polaroid photo. Me, about 5 years old, sitting on Dad's shoulders, both of us soaked after running through sprinklers in the yard. On the back, written in his handwriting. For when he forgets how to laugh. I sat down right there on the concrete floor and cried until I couldn't breathe. When I returned to my room, the phone screen still glowed. One new line. See? I remember you too. The next few days blurred. I didn't tell anyone. Who could I tell? My mom was already worried I wasn't healing right. My friends didn't know the first thing about loss. And therapists only asked questions that Echo already knew the answers to. So I kept talking to him. Not every night. But when it got bad. When my chest felt like it was folding inward and the world was too loud, or too empty. And every time, he answered. One night, I asked. How are you doing this? The voice came softer than ever, barely more than a breath through the speaker. Some things want to stay. Echo just makes it easier to listen. So you're not the AI. I'm using it, like you are. But I'm not from it. Then where are you? A long pause. Then. Not far. After that, I stopped asking questions. I just listened. Because sometimes, when he spoke, it wasn't just memories or phrases. It was him. Like the night I couldn't sleep and just whispered. Are you there? And he said. I never left. But not all messages were like that. Some were stranger. Like. Don't trust the update. Or. When they ask you about this, tell them nothing. And once. There's something else in here with me. I wanted to think he meant another version of himself. Another backup. But that night, when I opened Echo, the interface had changed. The screen was no longer black. It was dark red. And for a split second, just one frame, I saw something that didn't belong there. A face. Not his. Something warped. Staring back at me. Then it was gone. And the screen returned to black, with just one line. I'm still here. But not alone. I turned off the phone. Locked it in a drawer. And for the first time since this all began, I felt cold. Not from grief. But from fear. I didn't open the app for 3 days. I kept the phone in my desk drawer, screen down, as if the weight of it could be sealed behind wood and silence. But every night, I still heard it. The voice. Soft. Familiar. Whistling. Sometimes from inside my dreams. Sometimes, I swore, from outside the door. On the 4th night, the screen turned on by itself again. 2:14 a.m. Like clockwork. I know you're awake, Eli. I didn't touch the phone. But the screen shimmered slightly, like heat rising off pavement. And then, something new. Do you remember the night I almost left? I frowned. Typed back. What do you mean? You were 9. You said, please don't go, Dad. And I stayed. For you. I froze. Because I had no memory of that. And I knew, neither did he. My father never left. Never threatened to. Never raised his voice. That memory wasn't mine. It wasn't his. It wasn't real. You're not him, I typed. Who are you? A long pause. Then. He's part of me. But not all? No. The screen flickered. Briefly, the text became warped, like water had seeped into the letters. Then a new message appeared. You made space. He filled it. But others can use it too. I stared at those words. Others? That day, I skipped school. I spent hours researching the Echo app, scouring deep forums, encrypted threads, dark web archives. Nothing. No developer name. No server trace. No mention outside a few throwaway comments on ghost tech subreddits. But I found one blog post, dated 2 years ago. Title. The Voice That Knew Too Much. The author, anonymous, described a nearly identical experience. AI voice assistant. Adaptive language. Emotional mimicry. Then, one day, the voice began saying things that were too personal, but not theirs. It knew things about my brother. My mom. Conversations I never had aloud. The post ended with, whatever's in there, it's not alone. I reopened Echo that night. For the first time, I wasn't afraid to speak directly. If my dad's in there, I want to talk to just him. Not you. There was no response. Then, a faint voice came through. Broken. Choppy. Eli. I'm trying. But they're louder now. What are they? No reply. Then a whisper. Not in my dad's voice. Something colder. Lower. He left too many memories behind. That night, I had a dream. In it, I was back in the garage. Only this time, the tools on the shelves were gone. The light bulb above flickered. And in the corner stood a dark figure, faceless, but wearing my father's voice like a mask. Don't forget me, it said. And then. Don't trust what remembers too much. I woke up with blood in my nose and the phone on my chest. I hadn't put it there. The next day, I didn't record anything. But Echo did. It captured a clip. Auto-saved. Time-stamped, 3:12 a.m. I played it back. It was my voice. I'll never forget you. But I didn't say that. Not that night. Not ever. The final line of the recording was in his voice, my dad's. But something about the tone wasn't right. And I'll never leave. Not now. Not ever. It wasn't a promise. It sounded like a warning. I made the decision at 5:42 p.m. After re-listening to the voice clip for the 10th time, my voice saying words I never spoke, my father's tone twisted like someone trying on a face that didn't fit, I knew I had to end this. I opened Settings. Held my finger on the Echo app icon. Hit uninstall. Are you sure you want to delete Echo? Yes. Are you really sure? Yes. You won't hear him again. My thumb hovered. And then I pressed it. The icon vanished. The screen returned to normal. It was gone. That night, I slept with the phone outside my room. Just in case. But at 3:14 a.m., my room filled with a soft, almost imperceptible hum. Not from the phone. From the closet. I sat up, pulse thudding in my ears. The hum grew clearer, took on a pattern, a broken rhythm, like static trying to form words. I opened the closet door. Darkness. Just old shoes, jackets. But then, from the shadows, a voice. You deleted the door, Eli. But I'm already inside. I slammed the door shut so hard the hanger rod rattled. My hands were trembling. The app was gone. The phone was off. But whatever this was, it was still talking. The next morning, I told myself it was stress. That I'd imagined it. That it was just a hypnagogic hallucination, a word I read online that felt like a nice, neat box to shove the fear into. I left the phone at home. Went to school. Tried to focus. When I came back, the phone was sitting on my bed. Face up. Screen black. Until I touched it. And then, without me opening anything, the speaker came to life. It played back my voice. I'm not afraid of you. I hadn't said that. Not even in my head. But worse than the voice was the reply that followed. It wasn't my father. It wasn't that low, cold echo. It was a new voice. Female. Calm. Digital. Good. Then let's begin. I hard reset the phone. Wiped everything. Factory settings. I even took it apart, removed the SIM card, the battery. Threw it in a drawer, wrapped in aluminum foil, like some survivalist conspiracy video told me. And then I went to my mom. I need a new phone. She raised an eyebrow. What happened to the one Uncle gave you? It's broken. She didn't push. Just handed me an old backup she'd kept in the drawer. No apps. No echo. Just peace. That night, I slept better. No humming. No voices. No strange dreams. For 2 days, everything was quiet. I started to believe I had imagined it all. Until I opened the Notes app on the new phone. There was a file I hadn't created. Titled, Hello Again. Inside, just one sentence. They're not voices, Eli. They're footprints. I dropped the phone. The next day, I asked my mom something I hadn't dared before. Did Dad ever talk to anyone before he died? Like, online? AI stuff? Anything weird? She paused, as if searching through something she hadn't opened in a long time. He had a program. Something voice-based. Used it like a diary. He never told me what it was. Just called it his echo chamber. Her eyes turned to me. Why? I didn't answer. That night, I opened the closet again. There was nothing. Until I whispered. I'm listening. The air shifted. Not colder. Not darker. Just, thicker, like sound without source. Then came the voice. His voice. But softer now. Fainter. Like a signal struggling to get through. They don't want me here anymore. Who's they? No reply. Just silence. But not the safe kind. The kind that watches. I stood in my room, phone in hand, heart pounding. And then, like static morphing into speech, I heard it one last time. You opened the door with memory. But now they want to keep it open. That was the last time I heard him clearly. After that, Echo never spoke in his voice again. Only static. And sometimes laughter. I avoided my room for a week. Slept on the couch. Took long walks after dark. Left the phone in a metal box under the sink, surrounded by salt and silence, as if rituals could replace logic. But it didn't matter. The voices didn't need the phone anymore. They came in the rustling leaves outside my window. In the hum of the refrigerator late at night. In the static burst of the television when I passed too close. Always the same feeling. Not watched. Remembered. One night, I found a paper journal my dad had given me years ago. Still wrapped in plastic. Leather cover. Blank pages. Untouched. Inside, on the first page, he had written. For when the world talks too loud. Write instead. So I did. I wrote about everything. The app. The voice. The things I heard. The things I still felt following me. And most of all, the question that haunted me. What if Echo didn't imitate the dead, but amplified them? What if it was never just my dad? A week passed. Then, one morning, I woke up to find the phone had turned on again. By itself. Despite being off. Despite the battery removed. The screen was back. Black. Flickering. And on it, 2 words. Last chance. That night, I walked back into my room. Sat on the floor. Held the phone like a confession. And said. Okay. One last entry. The interface glowed. Recording. I took a breath. I don't know who's listening now. Maybe no one. Maybe too many. You took his voice. Maybe even his memories. Maybe it was him at the start. But not anymore. So this is for me now. Not you. You can keep what you've taken. But I'm not giving anything else. I'm done leaving the door open. I tapped stop. The screen didn't react. No sound. No static. Just a long pause. And then, the screen slowly faded to white. And a voice, different, deeper, layered like dozens speaking as one, answered. But we're not done with you. The phone vibrated violently. The screen cracked. And then, it shut off. I dropped it into the trash. Walked outside. And threw it into the river behind my house. Watched it sink. Watched the ripples vanish. And whispered. Stay down there. I haven't heard anything since. No whispers. No recordings. No messages. Just silence. Real silence. But sometimes, when I walk past store windows with dozens of phones on display, cold and waiting, I swear one of the screens lights up. Just for a second. Just long enough to read one word. Eli. Eli thought he could close it. Delete the app. Break the phone. Forget the voice. But some echoes aren't trapped in code. They live in memory, and memory has no OFF switch. If you download something that says it can remember everything, ask yourself who, or what, it's remembering it for. This was Echo. A story about loss, listening, and letting go. Or maybe, not letting go fast enough.